So we're back with Transformer Cyberworld. We're on episode 6. And it wasn't horrible. Oh my gosh, DB finally understands that this show is amazing and peak, and he's gonna help us take down anyone who defies us, like his pal Nerd's feet. And hold up, buddy. No. I didn't say it was peak. But you said it wasn't bad. I didn't say that. I said it wasn't horrible, like the previous 5 episodes. Out of all these episodes, this is the most tolerable one. It's still not good. It's just the best one out of a garbage product. Why DB? Why can't you say it's peak? Because it's not. Again, Cyberworld is overrated. Just like the trash pile that was Earthspark. But again, we'll get into the Cyberworld fandom in another video. So why don't we start with the actual episode itself? So it opens up in a positive note, surprisingly. There's no intro to the show. What an amazing upgrade, because Cyberworld intro is awful. That was something I forgot to mention in the first review. Cyberworld intro is too basic. If people thought the Netflix intro was terrible, like the Netflix trilogy, haven't seen this one. Instead of the intro, we get to open up with a city full of Starscream statues. And Optimus, pops out of one of them because apparently it's like a hologram or something like that. He's, slightly poking out of it. It's like, this is unpleasant. And Alita said, I actually kind of like the wings. Then he says, I was wondering what a Starscream rule would be like. We kind of have our first problem already with the Starscream statues that Optimus, Alita, and B were hiding in. So you can definitely tell that they're different from the others because each glowing in the color of the character is behind or in the statue. First we got Optimus, who is the blue one, even though he is more red, if anything. We got Alita, who's red because she's pink, whatever. And yellow for B. I would think that maybe this is some hologram that Mirage made as a disguise, and once they reveal themselves, the statues would just disappear. Once they leave the statues, the ones that they were are still glowing. And it just makes you think, I'm like, are they holograms? Are they real statues? How does this work? When Optimus first appears, tell that his chest just starts clipping through the statue. And then once they leave the statues, they're still there. They're still glowing. And there's no explanation of what's going on. Hey, this is a stupid criticism. Just let it happen. Turn off your brain. No. I will never turn off my brain. I hate the excuse. People say, just turn off your brain. It'll be all fine. Just watch the movie. Don't think about it. Stupid fun. No, I don't like that. I've never liked the concept of turning my brain off for anything. I'm not going to turn it off. It is rare when I turn off my brain. The reason I would turn off my brain is if I'm exhausted. That's about it. I don't turn my brain off to other things, like movies especially, and shows. I'm consuming set product, so I want to pay attention and understand what is good about set product or what is bad about set product. And that's what I've been doing with Cyberworld. Considered a bad thing? Maybe. Maybe it's a bad thing depending on your viewpoint. For me, I think it's a good thing that I don't shut off my brain with this stuff. I can give you the actual details and expose the show for being trash. So yeah, these statues, they just do nothing. They just stick around. You think they could be hologram disguises, but then once they leave them, they're just still there. They're still glowing the color that were how do these statues work? What? You know what? Never mind. Autobots leave the statue and they meet up with Mirage, and Mirage is like, you don't like me and I don't like you. Optimus said, I never said that. Alita's like, I did, and then B's like, I'm indifferent. Mirage then says, you need intel, and I need a way to get off this stinking planet. Comment that it smells like a T-bod. What? And if you don't believe me, here's the clip itself.
Way off is stinking dirty. Smells like a team up, right? And
anyway, Alita begins to say, is everything performance for you? Just like, look, you know where you're going, but I'm the one who can get you in. And then it transitions to the Autobots breaking into this HQ, and they're about to download the data. But then it gets interrupted by the main villain of this episode, a computer program. Who do you think it could be? Maybe it's somebody on the thumbnail. Yeah, it's Starscream. Starscream has a antivirus protection program in the computers. This happened after they found a file on Scorponok, but they didn't get everything because of Starscream. But once they leave the actual room itself with the computer and the data, they get an epic entrance that I did not know this show could actually pull off. It's Starscream's arrival, and he's just sitting on his drones, walking down like he is a king. Oh, you don't want to mess with this guy. And I'm going to say, Starscream is probably the best part of sorts when it comes to this episode. Yeah, his voice is awful. Listen to this.
Surrender yourselves to Emperor Starscream!
This voice is terrible. But I will say, how they written Starscream is actually not bad. I mean, it's better than Jet Mirage and B and Girl Boss 3 Alita and then Optimus Prime the Imbecile. And also definitely written better than Grimlock and Snarl. Starscream is the only character that isn't terrible besides Megatron in the show. I'm not a huge fan of Megatron. I will say they definitely did keep his characteristic. It was just B that ruins the moment with Megatron because, again, he was being a complete idiot in that episode. And just the whole show as a matter. B's an idiot in this continuity. But then a portal activates and the Autobots run through it, and Starscream throws a crown at the drone saying, keep my crown safe. Because, yeah, he has the iconic G1 crown that I swear is being overused, not only in show, but in toys. I have to say, still the best moment where the Emperor Starscream thing came from was King Starscream was in his delusions, and then Dinobot smacks Starscream to get him out of the trance. That is still the best one. Well, I mean, besides him dying in the G1 movie. All the G1 Starscream fans, after I said, they're gonna be like, what? Anyway, Starscream enters the portal, and it's an arena-type battle area where you have to knock over the opponent. Think of the Wii Sports Resort, the sword fighting segment of it. You need to get somebody off the platform and fall into the water so you can gain a point and possibly win the fight between the computer program. But anyway, continuing on. So the four begin to fight, and Mirage won to start fighting Starscream, where Starscream injures Jet Mirage by breaking one of his wings. Then he crashes, and then we transition to B and Alita, where Alita then gets a power-up and has, rocket boots. Or more like rockets attached to her legs, if anything. And she does fly a couple times to take on Starscream. Of course, she managed to knock him down, and he almost fell off the edge, but then his jet booster saved him. And Optimus...
holy Petrodyne! I'm taking half the credit for that.
Yeah, I don't get it either. So then Starscream comes back up, and Optimus makes the observation, one needs to win out of the five. He said he would forfeit, but the others would have to, and Optimus gets cut off, and Alita and B are like, not it. Then a Starscream starts attacking again, and Scream says, you're still very much it, I'm afraid, which is the weirdest sentence in existence. Girl Boss Alita tries to fly up and beat up Starscream. Power off wears off too quickly, and they're basically screwed. Starscream says this.
Time's up on your little upgrade.
and then charges at Alita, lifting her in the air. Then Starscream drops her off the edge, but then Jet Mirage managed to save girl boss Alita. But then Starscream knocks them both off, and that's it. So they immediately got knocked off. So yeah, that was pointless. What was the point of that scene? You should have just let Alita fall off. Jet Mirage could have helped defeat Starscream and stuff. Yada, yada, yada. I don't know. This show's made for little kids. And also idiots on Twitter. Starscream then says, 2 down, 2 to go. And Optimus and B try fighting Starscream, but are not successful on defeating him. Starscream says, why don't you bow to your Emperor? Is basically what he says. And Optimus is like, never. Also, forgot to mention this in the beginning. Nice little detail that I actually pretty much like about Starscream is that he has painted his own head over the Decepticon insignia. Why? Because this seems in character with Starscream. He is the type that's like, I'm better than everyone, especially Megatron. I just think it fits the character, personally. It's such a small detail that I actually liked. Starscream says that he's gonna have to download one of these arenas at his headquarters. But then Starscream notices that B and Optimus are fighting, and B makes the comment while they're fighting, it's like, do you always have to make the speeches? Which does piss me off. Why do we keep making this joke? It's not funny. We're just making fun of one of the best traits of Optimus Prime, and that's his heroic speeches that motivates people to rally against him. Like, it's a big trait. Even Crosshairs pointed out how Optimus speeches somehow work and motivate people. Here's the clip.
You just want to die for the guy. That's leadership. Or brainwashing or something.
No. That's Optimus Prime.
Yeah, why are we just making fun of this? It's like if opened up with 2007 and Optimus is just doing his iconic speech, and then Ironhide's like, Optimus, you need to stop doing those ridiculous speeches. They're idiotic. I would definitely frustrate fans with the movies if one of the Autobots ever said that to Optimus to stop doing the speeches. But here, oh my gosh, it's fine. Don't complain about it. Optimus, we make fun of Optimus in his speeches. They're stupid. We just need to keep demasculating Optimus Prime, even though he's a robot, and make him into a complete goofball like Earthspark. It makes complete sense. No, it doesn't. It just shoots the character in the foot and ruins him for generations. Not only making fun of the speeches, which is iconic for the character, but also making him a complete goofball is what is destroying Optimus Prime. That's why I consider Cyberworld Optimus Prime just as bad as Earthspark Prime. I wouldn't say he's as bad, because Earthspark Prime is definitely a Prime. Like, if he fell off a cliff, which led to a volcano and burned alive, you'd be like, meh. Granted, I would say the same thing with Cyberworld, but at least he isn't doing the trying to be hip with the kids. Like, no, that Optimus Prime just frustrated me. Like, it's not in his character at all, and neither is Cyberworld Optimus. They just don't fit the personality. He doesn't have to be boring. He just needs to uphold the responsibility of being a leader, being a father figure, being supportive of his fellow Autobots. He needs to maintain that instead of being torn down by these writers who obviously don't care about the character. It wouldn't surprise me if the people who made Cyberworld don't care about Transformers. They did it for a paycheck, and they did like 10 seconds of research and like, now that Optimus Prime guy's so boring, let's make him hip and cool. Let's make him make fun of himself. Yeah, that's a great idea, guys. It just frustrates me. And then we continue on with B and Optimus fighting, and Starscream's confused. But then it looks like that Optimus is knocked B off the cliff, and then Starscream is about to do an aerial attack, knocking Optimus off. But then Optimus picks up B and realizes that he was tricked, and then Starscream gets knocked down, and then Optimus grabs Starscream and says,
One shall stand, but two shall fall.
Players eliminated.
and then both of them are eliminated, and B is automatically the winner of the game, and we win. we defeated Starscream, guys! And then Starscream tries to fly off, but then the, leveling down thing, which none of these game mechanics have been explained at all. Like, why every time they lose, they just go red? Why is Scorponok here? Who made the game? Like, a bunch of questions that haven't been answered in 6 episodes. We would think we would get something out of this. Something. But we haven't. And I get it. We have 36 episodes, which now is just 30 since the 6th episode has came out. But we need to explain things slowly. Like, I get it. It's a slow burn. They're probably going to save it, like, when it gets close to the show being over. But the problem is that when you are building up a bigger, higher up story, you better build it up throughout the show. And I'm hoping that more gets explained, but it probably isn't, because 5-minute episodes, we don't have time to explain what's going on. And also, they're probably scared of little kids just leaving the show because they got too bored with it, instead of challenging kids with things, because kids can be very smart if you introduce a concept to them. They're not completely idiots, and anyone who thinks they're complete idiots and need to eat schlop like this, you're an idiot. Take to the baby, but it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Kids' brains aren't like they used to be. They're not like my generation or your generation where we can actually think. We just need them to have some sort of entertainment because kids are getting dumber. Well, whose fault is that? It's certainly not mine. I've been pushing for the show to go more in depth and actually challenge kids. But no, you guys are the ones that saying, it's a kid's show, DB, stop criticizing it. Like, you're part of the problem. If you think that kids aren't as good as they used to be, you're part of the problem because you acknowledge it, but you do nothing about it. You just complain about a guy who criticizes the stuff and exposes this stuff, and you don't like me doing that, but I'm going to keep doing it because it needs to be said. I'm not going to buy into the narrative. I'm not going to shut my mouth and just go like, Cyberworld is amazing, guys. I just really love Cyberworld. It's the best Transformers show. Get Prime out of here. Prime is garbage. No, I'm not one of those people. If I feel like something's bad, I'm going to expose it. And you can't stop me. Then the episode ends off with Alita, after B levels up again, saying, thank you for helping me, and Mirage is like, yeah, no problem. And then Mirage says, Starscream's program is still going to be in effect. I'm afraid our original plan is a bust. Maybe we can come back here when things cool off. But for now, we're gonna have to find another way to help us defeat Scorponok. And we get a transition to the shadow of Snarl, which I also forgot. We also saw Snarl's model earlier in the show, and Optimus appears that he's looking at him at a far distance, but he might not know who it is. I don't know. I don't care. Optimus then says, if it's strength that we need, I know where to go. What do you mean you know where to go? You entered the planet like maybe 5 days ago. How would you know? And look, I'm done. I'm done with this episode. Okay, as I said, this episode isn't as bad. The other ones are definitely worse in writing quality. There were definitely a couple saving graces with this episode. Mostly it was Starscream, even though his voice actor is terrible. But the story still has a lot of holes in it. Even though it's slightly better, it could have used a lot of improvement. And again, this is what happens when you have only 5-minute episodes. Not enough time to build up to whatever is going on. But anyway, how did you feel about the new Cyberworld episode? Tell me in the comments, and have a nice day.